my humble honor and privilege to present you a man whose teachings about the natural world can teach us also so much more about communicating our message in a forthright and effective way. Please welcome Bill Nye.
I was very excited. Thank you, first of all, thank you very much for this award. It's physically beautiful, but of course it's spiritually, can I say spiritually? Makes you feel good. I was very excited to do this talk tonight until just a few minutes ago. Someone came up to me and said, "Is Bill Nye your real name?" Oh. And I said, "It's William Nye." And everything was going fine, but then he said, "Why did you change it?" I didn't really change it. Many years ago, you guys probably know this guy. He's a respected science writer. Do you guys know K-E-A-Y? Do you know him? Key Davidson? Anyway, for a few minutes, is he here? He was publishing a thing, Key Davidson, the Science Guy. And my attorney wrote him a letter and this and that. Anyway, I ended up talking to the guy on the phone. And I said, besides Mr. Davidson, Key Davidson, the Science Guy, doesn't rhyme. What do you mean? I said, the Bill Nye the Science Guy. Oh, that's really good. Oh, that's great. And this gets into the thing of critical thinking skills and question things. So as a young man, this was presented to me as a true story. I don't know if this is a true story, but it certainly has made an impression on me. My grandfather was in the Rotary. I'm sure he would have been a humanist if known it existed 100 years ago, but they had a convention in Philadelphia. My understanding it was in Philadelphia on purpose. And so, more power to him. He didn't, even in those days, you rented a tuxedo and he didn't know how to tie the bow tie. So he just went to the hotel room next door, just went down the hall, just knocked on the door, "Excuse me, can you help me tie this tie?" The guy said, "Yeah, sure, lie down on the bed." So the story goes, my grandfather lay on the bed and the guy tied a perfect knot, perfect bow tie knot. Right? Then my grandfather, questioning, skeptic, and so on, "Thank you. Why'd I have to lie down on the bed?" "I'm an undertaker." Even if it's not a true story, it's a good story. It's a good joke. And I mention this because this is something I want us all to think about. First of all, thank you again for the award. It's great. But I wanted to think, we all have a tendency in skepticism, critical thinking, to a degree in science education, to find ourselves, dare I say it, preaching to the choir. Did I lose you with that reference? It's in church, they have a preacher. I've never seen this, but anyway, it is presumed that, the passive voice being employed for comedic effect in this instance, it is presumed that, we think that, the choir would already be converted. But you don't really know that. The choir might just be there singing because they like to sing. But it is to be hoped that they'll go along. So let's say that we have great success in preaching to the choir, and it makes you feel good to preach to the choir, but we have to do more. We have to reach out. And Jennifer, your remarks were so, how to say, prescient. They were so, I was going to say that. I really appreciate it. Because if we don't, we will lose ground. And I say we. I'm talking about people who embrace science. Because if you like to worry about things, you are living at a great time. I mean, we all like to worry about things. You know, you have the smooth part of the road is just not nearly as important as the bumps. The bumps are what you have to keep track of. I don't know if you've ever ridden a bicycle, no hands. But you'll discover this sooner or later. Or if you're, let's say you're texting while you're driving, you might find the same thing. I'm sure none of you have ever done that. But, anyway, the deal is we have to reach out to people, and leading by way of example is certainly the best thing you can do. The trouble we have now, you know, we live in the United States. I met somebody from Canada. How many people are not from the U.S. here? Where are you all from? Canada? Guatemala, yeah. That's where are you from? Romania. That's right, Romania. No, it's good. But in the United States, we have this unique situation where we have sort of nominally the most technically advanced society in the world. I mean, you can get into fistfights in the space exploration bar about this, but the United States still has a very large technological lead in many things, and yet we have this wacky, very influential sector of society that doesn't believe in evolution. And for me, this is very, of course, as a science educator, very troubling. I know this is not news to you, choir members. How to solve this problem is going to take a long time. And I believe that the way to do it is by coming up with stories. People respond to stories. People respond to beginning, middle, and end that involve a hero who's got some trouble and then he resolves it, and so on. There was my grandfather. Couldn't tie his tie. What was going to happen? Oh my goodness, he's going to show up with the open collar. And not in the 1900s, aughts, you wouldn't do that. Now, of course, you know, people in Hollywood, they don't wear tuxedos, these kids today, when I was young. So, what we got to do is come up with stories that explain why we believe what we believe, and, or if you will, don't believe in what we don't believe. And the example right now, I remember very well being, oh, by the way, I was brought up in the Episcopal Church, and I related this joke earlier to a young journalist, and this just shows you what's happening to the world. Somebody referenced me as being Sagan-esque. Yes, thank you, that's very nice, but there are many people who don't know who Carl Sagan was. How many people don't know who Carl Sagan was? Yeah, so there you go. So, it's these kids there. I mean, of course, it's very flat. Unlike many of us, Carl Sagan won a Pulitzer Prize for a book about evolution. That's hard to do, I think, because not everybody really believes it. But I remember very well as a kid being troubled by, oh yeah, the joke, excuse me, the joke. Wherever there are 4 Episcopalians, there's a 5th. This young woman is looking at me like, what? I assume he said, there's a 750 millilitereth.